Not too surprisingly, Willie Taggart has some company in navigating his way down the Nile River. Almost immediately after Florida officially pulled the trigger on the Jim McElwain era in the Swamp and put it out of its misery, Dan Mullen's name was front and center as a potential permanent replacement. The connection makes sense as he was Urban Meyer's offensive coordinator for 4 years with the Gators, and he was mentioned as a possible replacement for the fired Will Muschamp before the program settled on McElwain in December of 2014. Scott Strickland, UF's current athletic director and the man charged with replacing McElwain, held the same job at Mississippi State for a portion of Mullen's time with the Bulldogs. Monday, Mullen was asked about the renewal of rumors connecting him to his old employer, and offered up the expected in-season denial. "I'm really happy here," Mullen said. "I think when you look at what we have in the program and the administration, I haven't really thought much about it. I've been here long enough. As the year goes on, it gets into that silly season and who is going where. Our focus remains on UMass and winning that football game. I'm really happy with what we're building here." In the midst of his 9th season in Starkville, Mullen is 6,744 overall and 3,237 record in SEC play. With the exception of a second-place finish in 2014, Mullen's Bulldogs have finished either 4th twice or 5th 5 times in the 6-team West Division. It just means more top 2 teams. The SEC once again led the way in the initial set of 2017 College Football Playoff Selection Committee rankings that were released on Tuesday night. Both undefeated number 1 Georgia and number 2 Alabama were placed in the top 2 slots in the only poll that matters, followed by number 3 Notre Dame and number 4 Clemson to round out the first top 4 of the season. Close calls at many levels this week. That victory over Notre Dame tipped number 1 to Georgia, Bill Hancock at Boncock CFP October 31, 2017. Also notable, UCF debuting as the highest-ranked Group of 5 team and at a number 18 spot, somewhat higher than we typically see such teams checking at. Otherwise, the committee's top 25 was fairly similar to the AP poll, despite Mississippi State being 5 spots higher, Auburn the highest-ranked Tuala's team 2 spots higher, and having Stanford 3 spots lower than the regular poll voters. The full CFP top 25 1. Georgia 2, Alabama 3, Notre Dame 4, Clemson 5, Oklahoma 6, Ohio State 7, Penn State 8, TCU 9, Wisconsin 10, Miami, Florida 11, Oklahoma State 12, Washington 13, Virginia Tech 14, Auburn 15, Iowa State 16, Mississippi State 17, USC 18, UCF 19, LSU 20, NC State 21, Stanford 22, Arizona 23, Memphis 24, Michigan State 25, Washington State. For those wondering, the initial set of selection committee rankings last year at this time featured a top 4 of Alabama, Clemson, Michigan and Texas A&M in that order. Eventual Fiesta Bowl pick and 3-seed Ohio State was slotted 6th in the same poll, while Washington was just outside the first group at number 5 in the rankings. With Jim McElwain officially out the door as the head coach at Florida, the talk now turns to what direction AD Scott Strickland will go in picking somebody to lead the Gators going forward. Much of the early speculation has been centered on a coach from Strickland's last job, which happens to double as his alma mater, Mississippi State's Dan Mullen, a former Florida offensive coordinator who won national titles with Urban Meyer in Gainesville. The Bulldogs head coach seemingly makes a ton of sense given his reputation and accomplishments over the years in Starkville. Bovada LV has not surprisingly concurred with that sentiment, as the oddsmaker installed Mullen as the favorite to take over as the next Florida coach. Here's the full list of odds from Las Vegas, including the very interesting long shot of former SEC head coach Lane Kiffin. Don Mullen 92, Scott Frost 51, Willie Taggart 61, Memphis Mike Norvell 71, Virginia Tech's Justin Fuentes 81, Chip Kelly 81, Bob Stoops 101, Les Miles 121, Randy Shannon 151, John Gruden 221, USF's Charlie Strong 221, Foz Lane, Kiffin 331, Steve Spurrier 751. Mullen joined several members of the list in denying interest in the job, as you would expect him to say at this point in the season. While MSU's head coach may be playing a little coy when it comes to taking the Florida job, that was not the exact same tact employed by somebody else on the list. If the University of Florida put Lane Kiffin and Randy Shannon together, they will win a national championship in less than years. Luther R. Campbell at Uncla Real 1 October 30, 2017. If nothing else, this will certainly be an interesting and entertaining coaching search for the Gators. The first set of college football playoff rankings are not even out and, shocker, people are already upset. Specifically, the folks in the state of Oklahoma seem to be a little miffed over the fact that Ohio State has moved into the top 3 in both the AP and the coaches' polls. While the Buckeyes have been ahead of the Sooners for several weeks now, it seems that the upcoming rankings from the selection committee are causing everybody rehash the issue this week. At the heart of the matter is not surprisingly OU's 3,116 victory in Columbus, which quarterback Baker Mayfield says should be a huge factor in his team moving past the one he, beat on the field. There's got to be a head-to-head matchup. If you talk about head-to-head, they beat Penn State and both of them are still ranked higher than us, I think. I don't understand it, Mayfield said on Monday, according to OU Daily. It's just interesting to see how people view us, not necessarily that I'm looking for approval. I couldn't care less what they say because the final rankings are what matter, so that'll be down the road. I'm interested to see what they say, but we've just got to put our heads down and go to work. If we take care of business for the rest of the season, then we should be in the top 4, no doubt in my mind. Head coach Lincoln Riley also waddled into the rankings business at his press conference earlier this week. If they think like that, then we have a broken system and we need to get new people making decisions, if that is how they think, Riley said. A lot of this is going to play out. A lot of ball is left to be played with everybody in the country. We have the toughest and the best conference, top to bottom, right now in the country, and we have a lot of big games coming up. I think those things will take care of themselves. We'll find out just what the committee thinks come Tuesday night, but it's not hard to think that both the signal caller and his coach have a point. It will be interesting to see if the Sooners end up leapfrogging either Ohio State or Penn State this week, but for now they might want to worry about their Bedlam rivals on Saturday afternoon as the more pressing issue to deal with. October 31st is a big day in the college football world. There is, of course, the first set of college football playoff rankings. We get our first taste Tuesday night action. It's Halloween, so there's plenty of schools and teams getting into the trick-or-treat spirit too. But perhaps the most notable part of 10/31, it's also Nick Saban's birthday. While the Alabama head coach hates to make a big deal of the date, he turned 66 today. It seems that his team is not quite on the same page. To that end, the school posted video of freshman defensive back Daniel Wright belting out happy birthday and serenading the coach before a very captivated team meeting. Those are some pretty solid pipes Wright has, and he did a great job when he gets the semi-awkward handshake hug from the big man himself. Something says the best present Saban can receive from the Tide is a great day of practice, however.